Mankato Public Safety is in the midst of Fire Prevention Week, joining fire departments across the country. To highlight the importance of fire prevention, it starts with the lessons of a historic fire from over 100 years ago. Nikki Hallman reports.
A historic Midwest fire led to a countrywide fire awareness that would be recognized every year.
It's always going to be centered around October 8th. Unfortunately, the Great Fire in Chicago that happened on October 8th, 1871, is kind of the centerpiece of this. So this is a way for communities to kind of take a minute to pause, think about what happened, think about ways to prevent that from happening again, and just kind of remember the past.
That fire claimed 300 lives. In 1925, President Calvin Coolidge officially proclaimed the first National Fire Prevention Week. Fire Marshal Sean Hayes explained how the history is important to know, as most fires can be avoided.
Easiest way we can prevent fires, honestly, is changing our behaviors. Our behaviors are the driving forces of that. Some of the common fires that fire departments, especially us, deal with are cooking related. The behavior that can be changed is be attentive, stay in the kitchen, be present when we're cooking.
During Fire Prevention Week, the department hosts an open house this year on Sunday, October 13th, inviting residents to see how firefighters live and work and to bring fire awareness. The department's main event will include interactive displays with a live fire demonstration. They will show how to use fire extinguishers, show how smoke moves through homes, and how to stay low to the ground. Hayes encourages the community to bring their questions and concerns to the event as well.
Interact with firefighters. Ask the questions that you've always wanted to ask. They're going to give the community a chance to come through and have guided tours of the fire station.
When it comes to the dangers of fire, there is one main goal the department keeps in mind.
The ultimate goal is to reduce fire-related deaths and value of our loss of property. So the more information that we can provide our community with, the better off we are in the future.
In Mankato, Nikki Hallman, KEYC News Now.
For more fire education and to see what your local department does behind the scenes, you can visit the Mankato Fire Station this Sunday from 11 to 1.